G'day guys, Ivan here from Peak Offroad, Wetherill Park, Sydney, Australia. And today we're going to talk about a few topics, quite controversial. We did touch it on the first video, which was everything you want to know about the Alu-Cab tent. And you get a lot of forums and all sorts of people talking about my rooftop, my premium rooftop tent leaks like a sieve. It's got water everywhere. And we're going to try and address those issues as we go through. So as you see here, we sell a lot of the tents, a lot of the bigger brand name tents in the world. They're all worldwide renowned, they're all sold around the world. And a lot of these manufacturers go to an extreme effort for their tents not to leak. Now, why does your tent leak? Well, there's a couple of good reasons. And most of them come down to you, the customer who's actually using the tent or abusing the tent. And the first and foremost way to say things is, the first issue is overloading the tent. So what happens is, you put all your stuff in the tent, and over time, the stuff in the tent actually grows. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And at one point in time, it's like when you go with your missus shopping to America and you have a suitcase, and then on the way back, someone has to sit on the suitcase and do up the latches. And the same thing is with the tent. You know, if you have to get your missus to sit on top of the tent to put the latches on, it's probably not going to work for you. And eventually the water will get in if you're doing 100 k's an hour in a downpour. The other one is, and that settles that bit, don't overload your tent. So when the tent is empty, the tent will close nicely, and that's what you're trying to achieve. Now the other one, condensation. Now, right now we're a bit of a drought. Well, actually it started to rain here, but overall last year there was a big drought and it hadn't rained for months. And people said, oh, look at all this water in my tent. And you come up and you go, hey guys, it hasn't rained. What do you think it is, mate? And he goes, oh no, it must be leaking, mate. It's terrible. Look, it's a pool of water. And I go, mate, it is condensation, and you need to have a method or a way of getting around that. Just to give you an idea, if you've got two people it's kind of like a standard, whether or not it's true or not, but each person inside a tent exhales about half a litre of water per night. So there's two of yous in the tent, that's up to a litre of water. That's with the temperature variance of outside. Let's say it's 0 degrees, and in the tent it'll be 5 or 6. Now that air inside the tent has actually got moisture in it as well, which adds to that half a litre. So realistically, all this water vapour ends up on the extremities of the tent. So different manufacturers attack it in different ways. Some have vents, some have double canvas, and others have trying to sort the problem out. They say open your windows. So what happens is, if you're just a normal person sleeping at night, you're going to get a bit of condensation in the tent. And it hasn't rained, not rained at all. And then if you're talking about world affairs and vehemently discussing items and really getting into it, then there's more, if you can see. So when you've got that thing, that amount of water in the tent, it actually does go against the walls. And then in the morning, you want to pack up, you close the tent, and it's a beautiful sunny day, and the tent warms up inside and all the water comes in and then drops down onto the floor. So the best way to do it is to open your tent, let it air out. Some of the tents, like one of these companies here, actually has vents on top, which is really just a placebo. It's not enough. You really need either a fan or open your tent up. In the old days when you had canvas tents, it wasn't raining and it was dew outside, you weren't allowed to touch the inside of the tent so it wouldn't leak. So you just got to understand that this is an ongoing problem with any sort of canvas. Like I was saying, some of these ones here, they have double canvas and they try to alleviate that by that air gap that you've got there now. The other big issue now we're talking about is actually when you put the tent down and you put it down in a hurry and you've got a lot of material actually inside the tent, like pillows, blankets, and so on and so forth. You end up, how would you say it? As you bring the tent down, if you don't leave the windows open enough, it will bellow out. And you've got to be kind of onto it. So for instance sake, if this flap, and I'll bring this one down just really quickly. If you, for instance sake, have a tent like this, and you've overloaded it, and as it comes down it bellows, as you can see. Now this is enough. Oh, no, I haven't got it right yet. I can't do it when I want to do it. Right. See what you have here, right here. Now, this will act like a wick. So when you're talking about closing your tent up and just leaving that little bit of material outside, I had this happen on my canopy camper the other day. So the camper's here on show, and look, it was late. I just banged it in, closed it down, just like what you saw here, and I left it out. And it rained all night, heavily. In the morning, or next day when I put it back into the showroom and opened it up, there was this pool of water. Oh my God, my tent is leaking. It's a disaster. What do I pay all this money for? And it wasn't. It actually, this acted like a wick. And water just drew in and just not filled up my canopy camper, but you could see it was a nice pool of water. And if you left that for 3 or 4 days, that's quite a substantial amount that you have to deal with. So with all the mattresses down here, they're not closed foam cells, so they hold the water. So you really need to dry them out. You think you've dried the tent out, but you haven't. So it needs to be dry. You can feel the weight of the actual sponge, and that will show you, oh my God, why is it still so heavy when it's not like that normally? Drying your tent out is the most important thing. When you own a tent of these premium tents here now, and you come up and paid all this money, made the expense of building a beautiful canopy and putting it all on top, you've really got to open up your tent. If you, in the old days, wound up your canvas tent, the old pop-up tents with a pole in the middle, with a little bit of moisture in, and next time you use it in 3 or 4 months' time, it was all mouldy and rubbish because you didn't dry it out. And the same thing proceeds with these tents. Anything with canvas needs time to dry out. Now, with drying it out, it means if you're not using it once a week, just open it up. Pretty simple, not hard. Open it up, don't have to do much more. Watch, like this. Right, I'm just going to go grab a beer. I'm going to go have lunch with the kids and the missus. And then when you come back, you just pull it back down. So every opportunity you get to open up your tent and let it out and let it air out is what you need to use that time for. Otherwise, you will have problems with all canvas, any materials, anything that you leave in there. The tent acts like a solarium or a greenhouse. Any moisture that is there will eventually vapor up and get all inside your tent. If you don't air it up, you're going to have issues. Like I said at the beginning, these manufacturers spend a lot of time and effort to make sure your tent doesn't leak. Now, you as the customers, you come up and go, but look, I have 1.5 litres of water. I've got a bucket and a sponge and I can't get it all out. See what's changed from the first time you bought the tent to the last time. Does it close? Does it? Do you need your missus to sit on the lid to put the latches on? If you have a look at the seal line, I'll grab you one more time, Artie. You can see here, sorry you can't see this one because I cleaned it so much. There is a seal line here. You can just barely make it out because this tent has been cleaned out fairly often. When you lift your tent up, have a look if the seal line is okay. If it's interrupted because you've actually put the canvas down, then you know that the problem was the canvas was not all the way in, and it only has to be a little bit. Again, like I was saying, for you guys, it's just something to be mindful of when you get in one of these tents. The manufacturers do spend a lot of time not to make them leak. The tents are a wonderful addition. Wish we had it when we were younger. instead of lugging around big canvas tents and not having the flexibility and the ease of operation that we have with these. Sorry for harping or what do you call it? Badgering the witnesses here. There'll be many of comments and all that. It's still the fundamentals of say, open your tent, let it air out. Hopefully this has become is a little bit informative for you guys. It's a question that always needs to be answered. And there's plenty of YouTube videos on condensation inside tents, but more so with the rooftop tents here that we've explained today, the 3 fundamentals of keeping water out of your tent. Hope you enjoy the season and in our tough times that we've got here now. And hopefully here in Australia we'll get back to camping, and we'll see you soon. So thank you, and we'll see you around.